snow long ago melted and summer's still a month away, this spring seems to be dragging on. For months now, as you can imagine, it's been shades of white, gray, or brown, with pops of green every now and then thanks to those spruce trees. It was only a couple of days ago when the deciduous trees decided to finally leaf out. And lo and behold, this morning, there was snow. But today I'm going to be adding some color to the front of the cabin. Like I said, summer is still about a month away. Planting season here really starts in about 2 weeks time from now. So it's a little early to get these things put out, but nonetheless, it doesn't mean that I can't get them potted up and ready to be transplanted outside once the time has come. So to do that, I'm going to be building a simple window box today. The first thing I needed to do, though, was determine what I'm going to be using as my planter, so I know how big to build my window box. I'm going to be using these organizational bins that I've had stored around the cabin. Believe it or not, these are what I was using as drip basins when the roof was leaking when I first arrived here. So it's time that these get a new life and get put to some good use. To do this window box, the first thing I needed to do after that was to measure how long the box is going to be and cut all my pieces. It's a really simple project that I'm surprised that I waited so long to do something like this. To assemble my window box, the first thing I need to do was build a simple frame, the outside of the window box that you're going to see. I made sure to glue and nail all the pieces together to make sure that this is going to stand the test of time. After having that frame assembled, then I needed to add the supports. The bottom of the window box is not solid. This will allow for proper drainage and make sure that the water isn't collecting in the bottom of the window box, causing rot over the course of time. I did add multiple nails along each support to make sure that there was no chance of them twisting out of place. Now that I have my box built, because of the way I assembled it, you can see the end grain, which is actually showing on the front of the box. Plus, all of the little nail holes are showing all the way along. So, going back to my standard way of hiding all the little flaws in what I'm doing, I'm going to go ahead and add some trim, which should come as no surprise to anybody who's watched my channel. Over the last few months, I have added a lot of trim to the projects that I've been doing, but it really does help to dress up a project and makes it look a little bit more professionally done, even though somebody who's a complete novice like myself is doing this. So I'm going to get these nailed together, and then we'll go back upstairs and assemble those flower boxes to put inside this planter. After doing this, then I needed to figure out where those drainage holes in those organizational bins needed to be, since they didn't have any drainage holes previously. So I put them inside of the planter box, flipped that upside down, and then began to just simply drill holes in between each one of those supports. Last year I bought hanging baskets to put up in front of the cabin. However, the colors in them were incredibly muted. They just faded away into the background. So this year, I want to make sure that I have some vibrancy, lots of color, something to brighten this place up and give it a cheery feel. As you know, I've been working hard this spring to try to make arrangements so that by the end of summer, hopefully, this property is transformed on the outside. Not all of it, but I'm getting a good start on it nonetheless. So today, inside the planter boxes, I'm going to start with a couple different colors of geraniums. I have a fuchsia pink here, or a bright pink, and then a white one. I bought 2 of the white and 3 of the pink. That way I have a nice alternating color scheme going on here. And I've had these actually for just a little bit now, and so they definitely are ready to be potted up. And they're a little bit root bound, but not too bad. I'm just going to go ahead and break up that root just to make sure that they don't become spirally as they're growing in here and constrict themselves. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that these organizational bins are a little bit shallow for what I'm putting in here. Again, I don't want the roots or the top, the crown that is, sticking up too much further than the bin itself. So I do need to break up that root ball just a little bit. One of the reasons too that I'm putting these in these window boxes or in this window box as opposed to putting them in a hanging basket is because geraniums need to be deadheaded. So I need to have these at a height where I can reach them to take off all their spent flowers. In between the geraniums, I am going to be planting a couple different trailing plants. This one here, even though it's not in bloom right now, does have little white flowers. You can kind of see them starting there. So this one will put out some white flowers. Then I have this dainty little yellow flower going on, and then a trailing purple flower. So when these are all put together, it should be really, really beautiful, especially once it's all in full bloom. So I'm going to finish getting these planted up, and then we'll go outside and hang that window box up on the side of the cabin. The window in which I'll be installing this planter box is roughly 78 inches long, while the box itself is only approximately 50 inches long. So I went ahead and measured equal distance in from the sides. I've already pre-installed my brackets on the bottom of here, and I am just going to level this to the bottom of the window framing itself. And hopefully I can do this by myself. And I'm just going to be using some 3-inch deck screws to attach this to the cabin itself. I'm going to start on one end, and that way I can come back and adjust the height on the other side if I need to, because I'm pretty sure doing this by myself, I'm going to get this off kilter here in just a moment, but we shall see. Well, one screw in and a mosquito flying around, which I'll talk about the mosquito magnet in just a moment, because I know there have been a lot of you that have had some questions regarding it. Well, doing this by myself doesn't appear to be too difficult, which is good, because my friend will be arriving in a few days to help me around the property. And I don't want to wait until then. I kind of want to get some things done while I can before he arrives. So. It's still a little cool for the plants to be outside right now, but I need to harden them off. So I'm going to leave them out during the daytime, and then I'll take those planters out and bring them back into the cabin. I'm sure that that's going to fill out over the summertime as well. And ultimately, I would have liked to have made that planter box the same width as the window, but I'm not complaining. Also, those trailing vines that I put in there with the little white flowers are the same as what I have in this hanging basket up here. This hanging basket has some creeping Jenny, and then those little white flowers, as well as some super petunias, so some very robust petunias in a red color, and then a blue lobelia flower in there as well. So hopefully that one, and I have one on the other side of the cabin, just like I did last year, fill out nicely also, as well as that planter box. I do hope to also do another planter box underneath this casement window. The only issue with that is I do open that window. That is the only window on the main level of the cabin that opens up. So it might have to sit a little bit lower than the window itself. But you know, that's okay. The other thing is that I used all scrap material again to do this. So I will need to get another cedar board in order to do that window there. However, I'm going to go in and clean up my mess, and then I'll meet you out back. I have received a lot of questions regarding the mosquito magnet. The first question that I get is, who makes these? Well, the company that does is Mosquito Magnet. The style that I purchased is called Patriot Plus. I've used 2 different types of bait attractants. The first one is just these little foam blocks that are the standard issue, basically. And the other one is this one here. I'll put the actual product up on the screen and I'll leave a link to both. But I'm telling you, this one here that sits with this red adapter that you just feed into the bottom cylinder and twist into place until it stays, attracts way more mosquitoes. The one up front with the little foam bait traps only caught over a period of about 22 days around 1/3 of a cup of mosquitoes. This one here, I don't know if you can see that in there, but there is way more mosquitoes in this one. I would say 3 times the amount of mosquitoes in here as there is in the trap up front. So I'll leave a link to Mosquito Magnet for both the Patriot Plus and all the lures. You can see the mosquitoes are definitely attracted to this. They're all flying around here, eager to get into the machine. One of the things though is yesterday I replaced the bait in here and I realized that I needed to also fill the propane tanks. So I did that this morning, and I have on here just a little level gauge. I'm going to attach this and show you how that level gauge works. And I do suggest, if you're going to be using propane, whether it's for your grill or something like this, getting one of these little gauges, because it'll make telling how much fuel you have really, really easy. Despite all of my efforts to control the mosquito population, I did wind up still getting bit, which should be no surprise. But what was surprising is that it landed me in urgent care. Wow, Alone, what brings you in today? I got bit by mosquitoes and my lymph nodes are swollen. Mosquito bites and swollen lymph nodes? Well, that sounds like Skeeter syndrome. You're making that up. And I'm not talking about being in love with my ex. That's really his name? That's weird. Yes, his name was Skeeter. Now I know you're really making it up. Is that so weird? I don't think so. Besides, what are you doing here? I did not realize you were a doctor. Well, you know, we got to fill in multiple roles here. It's a small community. But, you know, when I touch the back of my ear, the whole side of my face is going numb. I understand. Yes, it's because those lymph nodes are swollen and they're compressing the nerve that runs behind your ear, which controls the nerve endings in your face. Fine. So stop touching it. I won't touch it. How long do you think my lymph nodes will remain swollen? About 30 days. 30 days? It'll go down on its own as long as you don't keep touching it. If you touch it, it's going to keep flaring up. All joking aside, though, I really did wind up in urgent care. It took about 3 weeks for the swelling in the lymph nodes as well as for the bites to subside. The tingling in my face was still present up to about 3 days ago. However, if I touch the back of my ear, the ear itself is still really, really sensitive. I'm really fortunate that the reaction was not more severe, because in some rare or extreme instances, the doctor told me that this can cause the throat to swell, therefore causing difficulty breathing. One of the things that I don't have in my emergency trauma kit here is an EpiPen, though I probably should because of some of the other allergies that I have. However, I've never been prescribed one, and I don't know if you can pick one up without a prescription. I do know that they cost about $700 and that they only last for about a year. They have a year expiration date on them. But like I said, it is something that I should consider getting because of the number of allergies that I do have or suffer from, and this just being the latest in a whole string of them. Nonetheless, I am taking additional precautions, making sure that I wear heavy clothing when I'm outside, such as the jacket you saw that I had on earlier, as well as making sure that I have mosquito repellent on when I go out, which was something that I didn't have on the day that I was doing the gardening. That's when I got bit. So, lesson learned, you can't let your guard down when it comes to these mosquitoes. About a month ago, I had 20 cords of firewood delivered, but as you can see, it's still in log form. So I've taken the time to buck up some of this firewood, and now I need to split it. I do have a variety of axes on hand that I can use, but not all of them are meant for processing firewood. This axe here, which is this Husky 3.5 pound axe, I'd actually purchased when I was overlanding. This is more for chopping down trees than it is for processing firewood. Because of the narrow head on here, if I were to try to split this, I run the risk of this actually becoming stuck inside of the firewood. If that were to happen, I do have some wedges that I can then tap in along that crack to help split and free my axe, but that's more work than I'd like to expend in getting this firewood processed. I do also have this 3.5 pound double bit Michigan axe, but it's the same thing. This is more meant for chopping down trees than it is for splitting firewood. It also has a very narrow head on it, despite the fact that it has, you know, 2 axe heads on it, rounded axe heads. Again, not really meant for processing firewood. When it comes to actually splitting the firewood, I have a couple of different axes on hand. Both of these are splitting axes, and the way these differ from the forestry axes is that they have a wider head at the top here. You can see this wedge style shape here. That is going to allow the wood to actually split when I drive the axe in. Now, why do I have 2 of these? Well, you'll see here in a moment. I'm going to start out with this smaller axe, which is a 23-inch Fiskars axe. And what I've been told is that I need to measure my striking distance, right? So I want to know where my axe is going to strike that piece of firewood that I'm processing. So once I have my stance, then bring this up just above my head, not over it like this, but just above my head, and then strike down. And as I come down, I want to pull this in towards my gut. But as you can see, I'm barely impacting the wood. So on these denser pieces, this heavier axe might be of more use to me, but it is incredibly heavy. So I have a lot to learn and a lot of practice, and thank goodness I have a lot of wood to practice on, but I don't have all the time in the world to get this done because I need to get this processed and out of the way. As I mentioned in my last video, I plan on doing my driveway, and this area right here is going to get filled with rock. So I'd like to get through as much of this as possible so I have that opportunity. But in the meantime, luckily I have someone coming to help me buck all this up and get it processed, though probably won't even hardly make a dent in it with the time that they have available to help. Nonetheless, I'm going to get back to this.
4 to 6 days later.
Nice. Okay, so it will split.